Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of the Moreno Show. Guys, I hope you are doing well today. I want to tell you guys about this new project that I launched that I think is just really awesome. I was going to start this video off and say, oh my gosh, I just read a newsletter that completely blew my mind. It's one of the best newsletters ever. But I didn't want to over sensationalize this, but I did launch a new newsletter that I'm actually really excited about that I think is solving a really big problem. And I can't wait to tell you guys about it. It is atoms. So before I go into it, let me go ahead and play my outro. Also, guys, if you believe in what I'm building here, if you believe in the stories that we're sharing or the conversations that we have, it would really mean a lot to me if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's dive in. So real quick, what the heck is atoms? Like I just said, I built this out recently, but this idea has been kind of just growing inside of my imagination for so long. Literally in the beginning of this year, I was just getting so overwhelmed by this world or this concept of the news, because oftentimes the news isn't necessarily the most healthy space to be in, both for a consumer but also the people who are making it. Like sometimes I feel bad for anchors, I feel bad for journalists who have to produce so much, and oftentimes I get in this cycle of like, man, is this even worth talking about? Sometimes the videos that I make could often be like, oh, you know what, that could have been an email, like, and be like, does this actually warrant an entire 10 minute to 20-minute conversation? Then you know what, sometimes they do. Sometimes there's still a lot of meaning or information that could be extracted and put into a great video. Like oftentimes we talk about many perspectives in videos. We talk about what's happening on the left, what's happening on the right, the kind of the general census across the board, and I think that's really healthy. But I think what happens often is so much of the news could actually just be consumed, or could actually just be determined as noise. There gets to a point where you're actually not hearing about news, where you're just hearing about someone else's opinions. I have this idea of like, oh, what if like 99% of like news consumption is actually just commentation, and 1% of it is actually the news. And I'm like, okay, well, that's actually a problem. And I don't always think it's a big problem, because I think sometimes the what we do is we get on these video we get on this, like you're watching my video right now, but obviously I watch a bunch of other people's videos. But sometimes whenever I'm watching another person's video, it's not necessarily because I'm watching their video for information more than I'm watching it for a connection. And I do think that's part of the reason why I make these videos, because I think that connection point matters. And it's not even just for like me connecting to you guys, it's also the commenters and the audience connecting with each other, right? It's this group of like-minded humans who are actually able to interact in the comment section that matters, and they get it to scroll through them, and they could actually kind of debate or hear other perspectives. And I feel like that's actually overall a really positive thing for the internet. But the internet isn't always the best place to consume news. So I thought, well, you know what, I can't actually talk about every topic on a video, because there's just not enough time in the day. But I'd love to be able to create that space in a newsletter form, and that's where Adams kind of was born out of. And I thought about this earlier, like literally at the beginning of this year. I registered the domain name adams.news, and I was really excited about that, just because first of all, that's a pretty cool domain name. If you ask me, like www.adams.news, that just like, put that on a hat, please. I think that's awesome. But aside from that, at the end of the day, the core is fixing a problem that I feel exists. And the main problem is so much of these articles that I consume. Like, I live in a news feed. I'm always on X. I'm always going through Google News, and I'm always scrolling through the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and everything. And sometimes I actually feel like I'm getting like so much information, and it's all noise, and so little of it is actually, it just feels like static. And I don't always want that. I feel like someone shouldn't have to spend an hour of their life every single day just to hear about what's happening in the world in a way that makes sense to them. And I'm like, if I'm struggling with that, I think one of the things that I could do for other people is to provide a source that actually makes a more meaningful experience whenever they're consuming the news. So that's really where Adams is born out of. So I'll just go ahead and read this about page real quick. What is Adams? Adams is the news without the BS. I actually don't say bad words. I never say bad words. But you know what I mean when I write the BS. No jargon, no overload, no people telling you what to think, right? Just the biggest stories in atom-sized bites. Why does it exist? Because most of the news is exhausting, overwhelming, divisive, or simply trying to scare you. Adams was built for people who want to be informed without losing their mind. One of my taglines is "It's the news, but like dot dot dot, not annoying." I really take that to heart, honestly. Well, you'll get 3 drops a week. Right, the biggest stories explained fast. Under 60 seconds is the goal. Context, questions, and clarity you won't find on cable news. Human first, drama free, and unbiased as possible. Oh, that should be possible. Sorry about that. I'll go ahead and fix that as soon as I finish recording. But I actually really didn't want to put this line in, but I couldn't find any other words that would actually contain that, because a lot of people like my balanced they like my balanced takes just because I really try to give credit wherever I see fit. I think there's good ideas on the left and I think there's good ideas on the right. And sometimes the scales aren't as even as maybe they should be, but for the most part, I do feel like I'm fairly neutral and I call things the way that I see them. And I think other people say the same thing. So that's what I was trying to embrace here. But maybe I'll change that to balanced, like that. This is balanced as possible coverage. And here I am right here, Adam C. Moreno, YouTuber, writer, creator. I don't know if I never call myself a YouTuber. I never call myself a YouTuber. If someone talks to me and they're like, "What do you do?" I'll say something like, "I work in advertisement. I work in advertising. I work in media," just because I feel like that's kind of fun, but it's real. And here I also talk about kind of my goal, which is to make America human again. It's our version of Maha. While RFK Jr. is making America healthy again, I think I could be making America human again. And I think part of the reason why we're so divided is actually because of the way that we consume the news. There is something deeply wrong about the way that we consume the news. If you're just consuming things from Fox News, or if you're just consuming things from CNN, you're going to be living in over sensationalized, dramatized echo chamber that actually doesn't pull you closer to the other side's perspective. It actually drives a wedge in between you two. And that at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to create a healthier, more balanced world if we actually don't even know how to communicate with the other side. So I do think getting to actually consume our news in a healthier format that's a balance, that tries its absolute best to use a neutral language, I think is just such a much needed thing. And that's why I wanted Adams. And Adams is something that the Adam C. Moreno, like a newsletter, just couldn't be, just because it's directly attached to me. Like, I am Adam C. Moreno, but Adams is an idea, right? They're like, there's countless things that could actually just be extrapolated and then be made in a concise, tiny, short form, digestible, human newsletter. And I love that. So I thought that was great. That's the about section, but let's go into I wrote this little tiny thing. It was the first post before I actually launched, which was today. Today, people got the first the newsletter, and I think that was great. It was a Friday edition. Also, we're going to be releasing things Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also, this has to be like the worst way to deliver information. I just turned on the camera and I'm like, let's go. Let me try to talk about it, just because I think this matters. And you know what? I'm always going to try to talk about the things that I think matter. And honestly, I think this matters. I think the way that we consume news is broken. And I don't know if I'm going to fix it. I don't know if the product that I made or the service that I'm providing, I don't know if that's the solution. All I know is that I'm tired of not being part of some solution. I'm tired of just being on the side as if I'm just some pedestrian just not getting involved, when I know I have when I know I could fix something, when I know I could actually contribute something in this space. So that's what I did. I don't think this is perfect by all means. But thankfully, I'm not chasing perfection. I am chasing progress. And you know what? If a better idea comes along and someone builds something that's just faster, stronger, more neutral, more unbiased, you know what? Heck yes. I'm gonna subscribe to that. So that's what I want. So yeah, sorry for all that spiel. But I wrote this. If you hate the news, you'll probably like this. I don't know about you. I get like I don't want to say like I get like anxiety or I get panic attacks, but I am a sensitive guy. Sometimes I read the news and I'm just like bummed out afterwards because I'm like, is the world really this chaotic or broken or riddled with drama? Like, I oftentimes I'm like, yes, there are terrible things happening in the world, but I also think, like, we need to be excited about the future. We need to be excited about tomorrow. We need to have so much excitement for tomorrow that we're spending our energy in building something that's so beautiful today that we want to make it last until tomorrow. We need to be making the decisions today that we just know are going to have crazy impact for generations and generations to come. So, so I love that. I'm like getting emotional over here. I'm sorry. But I wrote the news without the noise. No yelling, no doom scrolling. This is a little ironic because I feel like I might be yelling right now. I do apologize, but passionate. All right. But no yelling, no doom scrolling, no blaming the other side for everything. I hate this so much. Like there are newsletters that are kind of similar to this that I've made, but they're digestible, they're short pieces, but they're all so far left. Right. Actually, no, I've never seen any of these on the right, but they're so far left that they're not even on the same paradigm. It is just so chaotic and riddled with lies that I just hate. I continue on and I say, just what you need to know, delivered fast 3 times a week. Just what you need to know is so important because I want this to be fast. Like part of the reason why like I struggle with consuming newsletters is just because they're so long. Like I don't know about you, but I don't want to read a 2,000, 3,000 word newsletter in an email. I just don't think that's a comfortable format for me. But you know what? Sorry. But you know what? You know what I think is awesome? Like, give me like 150 newsletter or 150 word newsletter, where let me read it in like a minute and a half. Let me read it in like 2 minutes. I haven't even timed how long my newsletter was today, but I believe it's a minute and like 40-second read. Like, that is great. Imagine if you could just get that every day. This newsletter is not gonna come out every day, but if you could get to that point, like, oh my gosh, you could actually be involved, you could actually be informed without having it take up so much of your time, without letting it take up so much of your mental energy. So you could go back to doing the things that you want to do, go back to doing things that you care about, go back to doing things that make you happy, go back to the other things that give you energy instead of taking energy from you. So I do think that's important. But oh, I also wrote this, why I made atoms, which is a new kind of news. Let's see. Here's my reason. I make videos every day. I live in an endless news feeds, and I know firsthand how soul crushing the space can be. People should be able to read the news without having a panic attack. That's why I created Atoms, a clean, fast, human-centered drop of the day's biggest stories, without the spin, without the noise, and without wasting your time. Another way you could say this is with such a high respect for your time. I often think that some of these people on the internet genuinely do not respect your time just because they have other metrics that they're trying to hit. They want you to stay on the video as long as possible. They want to go ahead and kind of manipulate you in other ways, and they're robbing from you your time, and they're robbing from you your attention. So one thing that I wanted to be clear is I just do not want to waste your time at all. And here's another example of what Atoms looks like. Short, smart, digestible. But here's what it actually looked like today. This was the first drop, right? The title is Woman's New Playbook, Trump 2028, and more. The subtitle was Big Shifts in the Womanosphere and Beyond. Here's this graphic. Also, I did everything here, and this is it's all a lot of hard work. So if you like it, please appreciate it because I didn't get any sleep last night. But here's the image that I made. We have the lovely Brett Cooper as well as the amazing RFK Jr. and President Trump right here. And I give a short introduction saying, hey everyone, the sun is shining, the coffee's kicked in, and my dog's at his walk. Thanks for opening this newsletter. Let's dive into today's biggest stories. And here's what it looks like. So here's what you could expect if you sign up. But very, very short stories. When you have a headline, Pope Francis's funeral is tomorrow. Here you have a little description with a little bit more information. President Trump urges Putin to stop after deadly Russian strike attack on Kiev. There you go. A little bit more information there on Truth Social. President Trump posted, I am not happy with the Russian strikes on Kiev and not necessary and very bad timing. Vladimir, stop. 5,000 soldiers a week are dying. Let's get the peace deal done. Also, President Trump recently updated, or he pretty much gave people an update saying that they believe that they are very close to ending the war. And he sounded very, very legitimate there. So I wouldn't be surprised if over the next couple of days we actually have some massive developments. So I think that's awesome. But here's what it looks like. These are just incredibly tangible, digestible stories. They're easy to read. They're easy to understand. In fact, I was showing this to my wife, and after she read it, I was like interrogating her. I'm like, imagine this was a flashlight. I didn't get out a flashlight, but I was like, what stories do you remember? She was like, oh, Starbucks is doing this. President Trump was talking about, yeah, Pope Francis's funeral is tomorrow. Like, she was just able to spit it out. And I'm like, that was such the goal, because I want it to be digestible. Even if you skim, you should be able to know what happens. And to me, that is just such a powerful goal. I even have this one other, Brett Cooper and Candace Owens make Womanosphere headlines. Also, everything is linked up right here. Like, if you want more information, you can go find more information. Absolutely. You just need to click right here. Boom. And it takes you right to the article. The Guardian. Boom. Now comes the Womanosphere, the anti-feminist media telling women to be thin, fertile, and Republican. Right. And we use endless resources here. Right. Like this one is the Starbucks story. It takes you to the AP, right? Starbucks imposed new limits on what baristas can wear under their green aprons. And you know what? This is actually a really good example of the no spin and trying to be drama free that I am going for. AP says Starbucks imposes new limits on what baristas can wear under their green aprons. So already there, the language that they share make it seem like Starbucks is just doing something utterly terrible. Starbucks imposes is a strong word, new limits on what baristas can wear. Like that's just it's so limiting. There's opposition, and it's just to me really unnecessary. What's easier for me is Starbucks is updating its dress code. Like I like that. I don't know if you need the rest. Like Starbucks is updating its dress code. And you know what? You want more information? Absolutely. Check it out right here. Starting May 12th, Starbucks employees will be required to wear an all black shirt. This is what that looks like, right? Short or long sleeve, collar or button up, and khaki or blue bottoms, right? And look at this. You get both sides right here. The company says it's about creating familiarity for our customers. That's right on their website, right? It is. And here you have this from the AP article. Labor groups aren't convinced. Oh my gosh, this is supposed to be convinced. This whole thing is riddled with mistakes. I am so sorry, but labor groups aren't convinced, saying the new dress code won't fix operational issues. And what's great about this is like, if this context isn't good enough for you, that's perfect. That's completely okay. You just click on the link, and you'll get back here, and then you could just learn more, find more. You want to hear more about what Starbucks' unionized work groups are talking about that are at more than 500 Starbucks? Like that's great. I believe if if you want to search for more answers, you should be able to find it. So that's good. But I don't know if that should take up so much real estate in the newsletter if you're actually not interested in that. So that's really what I wanted this all to look like. Even this other story, Trump 2028 is trending. Wait, what? Trump's store website had started selling a Trump 2028 merch. Photo of Eric Trump wearing the heart garners millions of views. Trump 28 merch on website includes a hat, t-shirt, and can coolers. And you could go to the website and you can see everything, right? And I just think that's great. Right. Bernie Sanders calls out both parties. Like these are all such snippets that I think are important. If you want to learn more, you absolutely can. This takes you directly to Bernie Sanders's page where it has the video that I was mentioning that almost has 500,000 views that was shared yesterday. If you want to see it, you absolutely can. And I just think all this is really just really important. And obviously, a lot of these conversations aren't topics that we would normally share on the channel, but it doesn't mean that they're not, share worthy or important to just know, right? And I just thought this was great. Great. Here we have HHS Secretary Kennedy announces drug take back day. Look at this, takes you directly to his post where he makes the announcements.
For Health and Human Services.
Whenever I was developing this idea, it was really important that, because I got feedback from people and they were like, yeah, you should make it so someone could click in to get more information. And I've been told that, it might not look like it's the most clear, the underlying, like these are all linked. So I'll try to make it more clear. I underlined this at first, but this actually made it look less clear because it just looked like a headline indicator. So I'll still try to figure it out. Maybe I'll include something that says read here and it'll be a smaller text and someone could easily click on. That could totally work. Maybe that's the future. This is all such a work in progress, but I think if you wait until something's perfect, I think you waited far too long. So I'm actually glad that this is riddled with mistakes. Like, where's that one mistake at? Yeah, labor groups aren't convinced. At least you know that I wrote everything myself. Like this isn't AI, this isn't anything else. This is all just good old fashioned Adam C. Moreno mistakes. So I love it. But you know what? I think the mistakes are good because you just know they're human. You know there's a person behind it. You know that it's just someone who is trying to create something new and good. And you know what? It's not always going to be perfect. Sometimes it's going to be messy, but hopefully that thing pulls you a little bit closer to making the world a better place. And that's what I think Adams is. That's what the goal is. So it's 10 quick stories and then it is a I always want to leave people with something too. I don't know why. I feel like it might be some part of my design of what to always try to bring something a little bit extra, try to elevate it just a tiny bit if I can. So there's a section where I'm just kind of calling it maybe like Adams Plus or something. It's gonna be like it's like just like a plus one. Maybe it's the quote of the drop or something that I think is inspiring or one big idea that I feel like I need to share, or just one productivity tip that I think has actually had an impact on me. And this is what I shared today in an awesome coffee shop in the beautiful state of New Mexico. On the wall of a rustic, worn Bible restroom, written in chalk were four words I'll never forget: "Nothing works but work. Simple, brutal, true." Because the future we experience, it doesn't come from what we say, scroll, or wish for. It erupts out of what we do. Look at this other mistake right here. I can't even sound cool trying to be so poetic with my language. There's this other mistake here. That's supposed to be capitalized. I'm like the only person to blame here too, but it is okay. You know what? The mistakes are good. The mistakes are proof of our humanity. That's beautiful. Maybe that's gonna be on Monday's drop. Mistakes are proof of our humanity. Who knows? But anyways, this is Adams, and I spent a lot of time on it. I spent a lot of time building this out, and I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to be great. I think this is a good tool. I think this is useful for people. I think they're gonna find service in it, and this could just be me thinking that it's the best thing in the world, and it could very well just just not be meaningful. Maybe the videos are where I should be spending most of my time, but I do think this could be a tool that could make some people's lives just a little bit better. So that's why I made it, and I'd love for you to sign up. I think it'd be great. I'd love to have you be a subscriber on Adams. It is completely free if you want to go ahead and check it out. And there's also a I'll bring this up real quick. Let's see. There is a way that you could become a subscriber, a paid subscriber if you want. You absolutely do not have to, but if you really believe in what we're doing here, if you believe that the news on the internet could be more functional, could be healthier, could be more human, then I'd love for you to be a subscriber. You get some cool features that I outline in some emails that you'll receive after you sign up that I go in a little bit into more detail. But I think it's awesome. But most importantly, I just think this matters. I think the news could be better. I think the news could actually thrive without giving people heart attacks. I think we should be honest about what we share. I think we should be more human in how we experience the news online. And that's why I built this. And I'd love for you to join. So, yeah, go ahead, check it out. It would really mean the world to me. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about this project. Let me know what you think about Adams. Let me know what you think about even some of the stories that we went into. You know, these are all incredibly short, digestible, but I do think they are important. I think there's a space for this. Obviously, this isn't going to change the videos at all, but I do think this could hopefully, you know, maybe change your morning. They could hopefully change, like, I don't know, you're in the restroom, you're getting ready in the morning, you're just kind of scrolling instead of scrolling on Instagram or scrolling on X for 45 minutes. Maybe you could, like, maybe you don't have to spend 45 minutes on X to scroll to find out what's going on in the world. Maybe you could just spend 1 minute scrolling through atoms and figure out, oh, this matters. That's cool. I like it. It's the news, just not annoying. All right, guys. Anyways, let me know what you think about all this. Let me know what you think about this project in the comment section. And I will see you all next time. And I apologize if I am tired. But yeah, this took a lot out of me. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Please, please have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, and subscribe, because why not? Episode's over already? Jeez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.